Hello, everybody, and welcome to Atheist Sunday School, your one-stop shop for everything Atheist Sunday and school. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Today, we are covering Ecclesiastes chapters 5 through 8.
I almost said 5 through 8.
Yeah, I know.
I stuttered there for a second.
Yeah, you know what? You got it. Got the ball rolling. And today, we are joined by the wonderful, the ever so intelligent Landon Noll, the actual scientist. Big round of applause.
Thank you very much, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon your time zone and latitude. And I hope you're all doing well. Hello from your friendly secular astronomer. Ecclesiastes 5 through 8 today.
Yes, and today is episode 150.
150.
Wow.
That's
a nice round number.
I've got a number thing about that. That's how many Pokemon there were, except for that Mewtwo guy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Except Mew was never released in North America in Gen 1.
Well, then except for Mew. Fine. How's that?
Yeah. There you go.
All right.
Good job.
Better.
All right.
But as I say, this is a very chipmunky section of the Bible that we find ourselves in.
Yeah, this is not the happiest guy in the world.
No, and he is not.
Or girl, possibly.
Possibly. Yeah. But either way, they are not very happy. And I'm really enjoying their thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you haven't seen our first episode on this, or if you haven't read Ecclesiastes, it's quite a trip. So hopefully everyone enjoys it as much as we do.
Yeah. So I have the King James version of the Bible right here.
I have the English Standard version of the Bible.
And I have the New American Standard Bible, a reference edition by A.G. Holman Company, copyright God, or something like that.
Well, hopefully God doesn't sue us.
Yeah, let's hope not. Yeah, I think he would win that case.
Takedowns.
Well, you have anything to say about what we're about to get into before?
Honestly, I do not. But we also have Robert Alter's translation with commentary on the Hebrew Bible. We have the Holy Scriptures according to some Jews and the
New King James.
Yes, we do.
We also have Eerdman's commentary on the Bible, but it's going to strangely be not very useful for the book of Ecclesiastes in general.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it a little bit next week. But other than that, we will be primarily using Alter's translation.
Yeah, and that's, I think, primarily because there's not much to add on to Ecclesiastes outside of apologetics.
There is that, yeah, and a lot of it is fairly clear.
Yeah.
It's just good quality content. They can't crap on it at all. There's nothing to say. It says what it says.
Exactly. It's just good quality Bible content. That's what it is.
I'm just yanking your chain. I just like the nihilist trends.
I mean, it is very amusing.
Life is meaningless. Everything is meaningless.
Everything
Wonderful.
vanity.
Vanity of vanities.
Yep.
Well, why don't I hop in then? Chapter 5. Keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of God, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools.
Ooh.
For they consider not that they do evil.
So there's quite a few things there.
Yes.
So my translations are different. Yeah. Be not rash with your mouth, and let your heart not hurry to utter a word before God. For God is in the heavens, and you are on earth. I think there might be some issue here. There is a note that the English Standard Version has.
That's my verse 2.
Oh, that's your verse.
Be not rash with thy mouth.
My verse 1 starts with guard your steps.
Yeah. So does
as you go into the house of God.
Okay, I also have that in the ESV. But let's that's interesting. So where did that last verse go? So from chapter 4, the last verse was, there was no end of all the people, all of whom he led, yet those
who come later will not rejoice in him. Surely this also is vanity and a striving after wind.
Yeah, that's also the last verse of chapter 4 for me.
You know what? There is apparently the verse is just different here. The first verse of chapter 5 in altars in the Hebrew Bible is the last verse of chapter 4 in the other translations that we're using. So
I wonder.
They're going to be off sync, aren't they?
They're going to be one verse off, yeah. So
Let's see in the Holy Scriptures, according to some Jews.
yeah, so from altar, he includes it, at the end of chapter 4. Watch your step when you go to the house of God, for understanding is more favored than the offering of sacrifice by fools, for they do not know even how to do evil. Wow, they don't even know how to do evil. They're just so dumb.
That is also
Yeah.
in chapter 4 in the Holy Scriptures.
Okay.
So I'm assuming.
One is using the Septuagint and then the other is using, the Hebrew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, so not knowing how to do evil is seems an odd thing to try and state. But
Yeah. All right. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before God. For God is in heaven, and thou upon earth. Therefore, let thy words be few.
Yeah, so you are a
Don't-
mere terrestrial creature.
Yeah. Don't criticize God because you're not God.
Yeah.
and don't say much because you're likely to say it wrong.
So there are some things on this for verses 1 through 6 here, or I guess for yours verses 2 through 7. Verses 1 through 6 here, to which the last verse of chapter 4 must be attached. Never mind then. Are a somewhat surprising and conventional stress by Kohelet on appropriate behavior in the sanctuary and an injunction to act in a way that will deter divine punishment. The second person singular imperatives are also stylistically different from what precedes. Either this section was editorially patched into the text from a different source, or one must assume that Kohelet, for all his radical views, does not doubt the presence of an omniscient God who punishes man for vows left unfulfilled.
All right. For a dream cometh through the multitude of busyness, and a fool's voice is known by multitude of words.
So in this context, the phrase much busyness seems to refer to the confusion of ideas and images characteristic of dreams, which are said to resemble a fool's chatter. The talk of the fool would include rash vows that the fool has no intention to fulfill.
Obviously, when you're dreaming, it's not like always the most coherent thing.
Yeah, I had some weird dreams last night.
Yeah, tell us all about them.
I'll
do dream interpretation.
Oh, will
for
you? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
in the
can
middle of the
choose
show.
Freudian or Jungian.
You know what? Flip a coin. One of them, I don't know if this is already a character that's already been made up, or if my brain just stuck a whole bunch of already existing characters together. But he kind of is kind of like a monster, I guess. Lives in like wall paint and shit. Like if you were like, so basically he's two-dimensional, right? But you kind of see him moving on a wall, and then if he like turns a corner on a wall, he can come out like corporeally.
Oh.
Is it like made of slimy shit kind
No.
of? No,
Yep.
like the paint? Is
No.
it made, what is it made of when it
The
comes out?
paint?
Yeah, is it
The
like
paint's just regular fucking paint.
just regular paint?
Yeah, no, but the monster itself kind of looks like a weird mix between Slender Man and John Wayne Gacy.
Oh,
Ooh.
okay, that's not that scary. Never
Yeah, I don't
mind.
know how
I
to
had
interpret
scarier
that
dreams.
specifically. Well, maybe later.
Wow.
But that's interesting.
Thanks for doing that.
Was it an enjoyable dream or was it a frightening dream?
I mean, I guess I didn't really care. It was interesting. I woke up and I wrote it down because I was like, I wonder if somebody already came up with this character or not. Because if they didn't, I could use that character.
Yeah, go ahead.
Looked like a pretty interesting horror movie character.
Wow, you got yourself your original character. Lawrence, don't steal it.
So, but like in the Frighteners and stuff, there have been like things that come out of the wall.
Yeah, but it didn't come directly out of the wall.
Right.
That way, yeah. I don't know. It's just weird.
Interesting.
Let's continue with the Bible.
Oh yeah. When thou vowest a vow unto God, defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools. Pay that which thou hast vowed.
Yeah. So it doesn't even matter if he gets something from a fool. They're a fool. Their shit's meaningless.
Yep. Better is it that thou shouldst not pay, or shouldst not vow, than that thou shouldst vow and not pay. Okay. Suffer not thy mouth to cause thy flesh to sin, neither say thou before the angel that it was an error. Wherefore should God be angry at thy voice and destroy the work of thine hands? Okay, that's not exactly clear. So don't say things that make you suffer.
So do not let your mouth make your body offend, nor say before God that it was a mistake. Why should God rage over your voice and ruin your handiwork?
So you shouldn't sorry, I misspoke.
So there's still
what if you misspeak?
It's still a reference to the vows that people make.
Right.
Offending your body.
Now
it's like breaking a vow.
They translated it as God there instead of the angel.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
Elohim.
like an Elohim. Yeah.
Probably.
Okay. For in the multitude of dreams and many words, there are also diverse vanities, but fear thou God. If thou seest the oppression of the poor, that's really weird. Where they start off with in verse 3, they say about dreams, and then in verse 7 they come back to dreams, but it's not clear because they go into this tirade about vows in between. But there's no reason that these two statements would bookend around it.
I feel like the whole thing itself is about vows
Mm-hmm.
and keeping,
I feel like I liked the first 4 chapters better, and
it's gonna go on. Don't worry about it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it gets more.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I hope it nullifies itself. That's my favorite thing.
Yeah. So the note here: for in many dreams are mere breath and much talk. The Hebrew of this clause looks defective, at least in its prepositions. As the Hebrew text stands, the literal sense is for in many dreams and mere breath and much talk. This translation deletes the and before mere breath, havalim, and thus construes the relation between dreams and mere breath as subject and predicate. So, yeah, they're just dreams. They don't really matter.
Yeah.
They're fleeting anyways.
But, I mean, there's a lot of 2-verse proverbs.
Yeah.
And it seems like verse 7 would fit with verse 3 as a 2-verse proverb.
Are you saying that they stuck text in between just to be stuck?
Well, I'm not sure because there have been instances of verses being mixed up.
I wouldn't.
Before.
But I don't think I'd put this in a poetry setting.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess he can do whatever the hell he wants.
All right. If thou seest the oppression of the poor and violent perverting of judgment and justice in a province, marvel not at the matter. For he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they.
Yeah, for he who is high has a higher one watching him, and still higher ones over them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Moreover,
So the oppressor has, people judging them, and people judging those people.
moreover, the profit of the earth is for all, the king himself is served by the field. Like agriculture.
Yeah.
He that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This is also vanity.
Yeah. See, there's more vanity for you.
But
Thanks. I feel a little better
It's
now.
never enough to these people.
Oh, but then what about all that gold in the temple? That was that vanity?
No, that's for God.
Does God love silver and gold? No, silver's an insult, but
No,
does God
he
love
loves gold.
Definitely likes that.
So is loving gold a vanity?
Well, this one, this translation, he who loves money will not be sated with money.
So they mean like silver coin.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Things that other people care about.
When goods
God
increase.
doesn't care about it, obviously.
Right.
I mean, they're so, I mean, obviously he doesn't. Otherwise, he wouldn't. No, you know what? He's still getting money from churchgoers.
Well,
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'd be easier to take alchemy and turn stuff into gold. God
Yeah.
would say, yeah, whatever.
It would
True.
be easier.
That's a good point.
If it were that easy, we would be able to do it during a pandemic.
You know what? Maybe God will help us with turning things into gold.
But maybe some people will be able to contribute to a fund to do something even more than just alchemy. But
Yeah, well,
perhaps.
we do have our donation drive for the e-meter, the Scientology Thetan reading device.
And we're gonna see who's the most clear. We're gonna take it apart, see how it works, what makes it tick, and then
Show
we're
them
gonna
how clear we all are when we're done.
yeah, we'll see if we can manipulate it.
Yeah,
Do some science, some real science.
I'm sure we can manipulate it. When goods increase, they are increased that eat them. And what good is there to the owners thereof, saving the beholding?
Behold!
Ing.
behold,
Beholding.
Of them with their eyes?
king. Yes.
The sleep of a laboring man is sweet, whether he eats a little or much. But the abundance of the rich will not suffer him to sleep.
So this verse is kind of weird. So sweet is the worker's sleep, whether he eats little or much, and the rich man's surfeit does not let him sleep. Surfeit, I don't know. Either way, the worker's hard labor, however little he may get by it, gives him the gift of sound sleep, but the rich man's full belly or his worries about his possessions keep him awake. Okay.
All right.
That makes way more sense.
Mm-hmm. There is a sore evil which I have seen under the sun, namely, riches kept for the owners thereof to their hurt. But those riches perish by evil travail, and he begetteth a son, and there is nothing in his hand. Right, so they harm themselves through their money, and then they run out of money.
Yeah.
Okay. As he came forth of his mother's womb, naked shall he return to go as he came, and shall take nothing of his labor, which he may carry away in his hand.
Apparently, as he came out of his mother's womb, that's a phrase that many interpreters have recognized. They have recognized these words are close to the ones Job pronounces in Job 121, where he has been stripped by disaster of all that he has.
All right. And this also is a sore evil, that in all points as he came, so shall he go. And what profit hath he that hath labored for the wind?
All we are is dust in the wind.
Okay, Kansas. All his days also he eateth in darkness, and he hath much sorrow and wrath in his sickness. So his situation is pretty bad.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yep. Behold!
Behold!
Behold.
That which I have seen, it is good and comely for one to eat and to drink and to enjoy the good of all his labor that he taketh under the sun all the days of his life, which God giveth him, for it is his portion. Every man also to whom God hath given riches and wealth, and hath given him power to eat thereof, and to take his portion, and to rejoice in his labor. This is a gift of God, for he shall not much remember the days of his life, because God answereth him in the joy of his heart. That's the end of chapter 5, but that's interesting right at the end there.
Yeah, so not much will he recall the days of his life. Fox suggests that this means he will not be very conscious of life's brevity. It could also mean that he will pay little attention to the uncertainty and the sheer potential for misery of a human life. And then it goes on to say God makes him busy with his heart's delight. The received text shows merely makes busy, but the Septuagint and the Syriac have makes him busy. So an interesting textual variant there.
Yep.
All right. Well, if you're enjoying the stream so far, give us a like, share, comment, subscribe, etc. Do all the things, Amazon wish list and
all
Patreon
the stuff that we will continue shilling later.
And share it with your landlords, your homeowner associations, and other boards of property that might make your life entertaining.
Oh, and make sure your parents and your children see this. Make sure to indoctrinate them.
Yep.
Even share it with presidents. Presidents might want to see this.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah.
Send our show to Donald Trump.
Also, dictators. Send it to dictators.
Oh, jeez. They really need to know this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is to say, send our show to Donald Trump.
All right. How about we hop into the next chapter, chapter 6. There is an evil that I have seen under the sun, and it lies heavy on mankind.
The literal sense of the adjective is great. Derivatives of that word, rav, rabba, rabot, harba, punctuate this entire section.
A man to whom God gives wealth, possessions, and honor, so that he lacks nothing at all that he desires. Yet God does not give him power to enjoy them, but a stranger enjoys them. Okay, so God is giving people things, but you can't use the nice things. You just have nice things. Other people are using the nice things.
Mm-hmm.
And is that just...
Just can't have nice things. That's why we can't have nice things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like that, man. That's how my life is.
And then Kohelet goes on to say, this is vanity.
Well, so where it says enjoy, the
Also
Hebrew is literally eat. And
Okay,
is also eat in the King James Version.
I would assume it would be food because, if you are a farmer or something and you are raising animals and stuff, like you have all these animals, right?
Mm-hmm.
But who's going to, eat the animals? Like, it's not just going to be you eating the animals.
Right.
It's going to be mostly other people.
Yeah. It says the usage is an anticipation of a common idiom in Rabbinic Hebrew in which the verb eat, akal, means to enjoy the fruits of something.
Okay. So either way, enjoy is fine. This is vanity. It is a grievous evil. If a man fathers 100 children and lives many years, so that the days of his life are many, but his soul is not satisfied with life's good things, and he also has no burial, I say that a stillborn child is better off than he. Very Job-like.
Yeah. Some interpreters
Oh.
prefer to attach this clause about the burial to the stillborn at the end of the verse and in the two following verses, but the Hebrew text clearly ties it with the man who lives many years. The idea expressed jibes with Kohelet's general pessimism about life. A man may beget many children and live a very long time, but this does not mean he won't come to a bad end, not having enjoyed his own material benefits and finally being subjected to the ignominy of lying unburied.
Yeah, because that was a big thing.
Yeah.
You need to be buried next to your fathers.
Yeah. But you at least had to be buried. Otherwise, it's just like a disgrace.
Yeah.
Anyways. So, yes, being a stillborn child is better than basically accomplishing nothing in your life other than having kids. And then no one caring about you after you're dead. For it comes in vanity and goes in darkness, and in darkness its name is covered. Moreover, it has not seen the sun or known anything. Yet it finds rest rather than he. Even though he should live 1,000 years twice over, yet enjoy no good, do not all go to the one place? And of course, I'm guessing they're talking about Sheol.
Yeah.
All
Probably.
the toil of a man is for his mouth, yet his appetite is not satisfied.
You know, I wonder how Christians interpret that verse about everything going to a single place. Because they believe in hell.
Sure. I mean, you could also interpret it as just being dead, the state of being dead. I mean,
Yes,
I could see that.
It's the beyond, right? It's the
The great beyond.
yeah, but you know, it's one of those things where apologetics, if they get really uncomfortable, just say it's not meant to be taken literally. Except when it's meant to be taken literally, in which case they literally mean literally.
And here's the thing. Sometimes there are plenty of things that you shouldn't take literally, but there's like a reason for that that's based on genre, stylistic choices, mostly genre. But so there are good reasons to take stuff metaphorically or allegorically or what have you.
I mean, some stuff is just literally poetry.
Yeah. But when it's something like this is wisdom literature, as far as we can tell, right?
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it might exaggerate a little bit, but the point is still being made.
Yeah. Though there is sometimes, poetry in wisdom literature.
Yeah.
So there are opportunities for figurative language to occur.
Yeah. Either way, all the toil of a man is for his mouth, yet his appetite is not satisfied. For what advantage has the wise man over the fool? And what does the poor man have? And what does the poor man have who knows how to conduct himself before the living?
What good is it for the poor man to know how to get around among the living? It says the Hebrew.
Pretty good. It's pretty important. He has to really get around if he's poor and he doesn't have anywhere to stay.
Knows how to conduct himself, how to act.
Yeah, it says the Hebrew lahalok neged ha-chayim is not altogether clear. The preposition neged could mean before or against, and ha-chayim could be either the living or life. The translation follows a consensus of interpreters that the phrase indicates an ability to manage with people. If that is the intended meaning, Kohelet suggests that the poor man's competence in dealing with others does him no more good than wisdom does the wise man.
I get that. I see what he's saying.
Yeah.
What a stupid verse, by the way.
Phrased terribly.
Better is the sight of the eyes than the wandering of the appetite. This also is vanity and a striving after wind. So I'm guessing appetite there is more than just your physical hunger.
Right, because
it's about plowing fields.
Because to eat is to reap the rewards.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah.
So I guess the reference there to better is the sight of the eyes. If you actually see the fruits of your labor, I guess.
There's a note on it. The evident sense is that one is better off simply enjoying what one sees, let's say a beautiful woman, than embarking on a dangerous and potentially frustrating path of trying to fulfill desire.
What? Hold on. Wasn't there? I think there's. I think it was Buddhism, right? In Buddhism, like chasing happiness actually makes you unhappy because you concentrate on the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, that sounds like Buddhism to me.
Okay.
Yep, sounds pretty Buddhist.
Kind of the same idea there, I guess. Whatever has come to be has already been named, and it is known what man is, and that he is not able to dispute with one stronger than he.
So, to call something by name in biblical Hebrew and other ancient Near Eastern languages
Suggests power over them.
is to designate its nature and define its being. So the entire clause expresses Kohelet's sense of determinism.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
It says, he is a man and cannot deal with one more powerful than he. Because of the context of determinism, many see one as a reference to God, though it could just as well refer to a human being who exercises power, given Kohelet's sense of political hierarchies and the social limitations of freedom.
Yeah, and considering how often he talks about the oppressors.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it would be in vain, you could say, if you fought the oppressor.
Yeah. You know, that reminds me of that movie Chris and I watched, Shaolin versus Evil
Was that
Dead,
the ridiculous one you guys were watching yesterday?
Yeah. Where the monks are all like, everything is destined already. Don't worry about it. It's going to work out. And then a meteor falls from the sky right at the end and kills the dude.
It worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they gave this whole metaphor with like a burning forest and a river needing to be crossed by a bunch of animals. This big deer steps up, makes a bridge, all the animals cross, and the deer dies.
Yeah.
Incredible.
What a great story.
How uplifting.
It just fits the tone of what we're reading. You know, I'm feeling the futility.
Yeah.
The more words, the more vanity. And what is the advantage to man? For who knows what is good for man while he lives the days of his vain life, which he passes like a shadow? For who can tell man what will be after him under the sun? No, nobody. That's a good point. No idea what's going to happen afterwards.
So the question for who knows what is good for man. This question follows on there are many words that increase mere breath, verse 11.
Mm-hmm.
Kohelet is a wisdom writer who constantly questions the value of wisdom. He knows that a human life is likely to be bleak, that it is intrinsically unpredictable, may end badly, and will surely be blotted out by death. His wisdom is to register this perception, but apart from his occasional exhortations to enjoy, he does not presume to know what is good for man, unlike the purveyors of mainline wisdom.
He's just super skeptical. Good for him.
Yeah, good for him.
Silly, man.
But anyways, that is actually the end of chapter 6. Very short chapter there.
Yep, short one.
Interesting.
And,
Yes.
and before we hand it off to Landon, do you guys hear something?
It's as if Jesus is coming.
Yeah, Jesus might be coming. Is
There's
Jesus
a static? There's a religious static in the air.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Spooky.
Behold, I am your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and I want to let all you heathens and sinners know that I support this wonderful episode of Atheist Sunday School. Lawrence and Reuben try their very best to bring you the true glory of the Bible, and they need your help. They have provided links to their Patreon page and other social media just for you. Once again, my name is Jesus Christ, and this is Milwaukee Atheists. The Lord is with them. God bless.
Wow.
Whoa.
Whoa, incredible.
Wow.
We've
Jesus.
never heard from Jesus before.
No, that's never happened.
Nope.
Never in a million
never
years.
happened.
Not even once.
No.
Yeah. So, wisdom. It's a bad thing.
Well, the thing is, maybe it's not a bad thing, but it's also in vain.
It's in vain.
Once you learn so much about things, you just come to
Correct.
realize that everything is shit.
Kohelet's like a classical hedonist, right? Kind of Epicurean almost.
I wouldn't even say
But more of a pessimist. Like you have this trend of German pessimism, right? Like your Schopenhauer's the best example, where he's like his whole pessimistic philosophy is like, oh, it's better to have not been born at all.
I agree.
And you know, but yes, it's definitely. I would say that wisdom. You know, this section is all about the folly of people who think it's deep to be this state. All I could say is I could see this person with the goth kids in South Park.
Yes, perfect analogy.
Those people that are conforming and posers and stuff and uttering this utter ridiculous tripe. This is garbage stuff. But let me continue with the garbage.
Well, I was
this
just gonna
disgusting stuff.
Yeah, I was just gonna say one thing real quick, Landon, and that was that it's sad to see pessimistic nihilism. That's a bit extreme. You could if you had a bit of an optimistic twist, he could have been good, but now he's just a goth kid.
Yeah. It's just a poser, right? So let's continue with this stupidity here. Chapter 7. A good name is better than a good ointment. I wonder what kind of ointments they're talking about here. I'm just asking. A day of one's death is better than a day of one's birth.
Yep,
Well,
just like you're pointing out, Ruben.
Then this writer should just go and die if that's what it's like.
Well, I mean,
They did.
Right. Well, it's like Camus, right? Where Camus, like the most important philosophical question anyone can ask themselves is whether or not they should kill themselves.
Save us your stupid tripe and stop right there and just be done with it. But no, we got to go with verse 2. It is better to go into a house of mourning than to go in a house of feasting. Yeah, right. And because this is the end of every man, and the living takes it to heart.
Yeah, this is a weird
Sorrow
verse.
is better than laughter. Okay, go ahead. You talk about silliness of that thing?
Well, it was just a kind of a weird verse there. For this is the end of all mankind, and the living will lay it to heart. I don't know if there's any commentary on that, but that is a weird part of the verse.
Where this is the end of all men. The sentence essentially explains the preceding one. Since our common fate is mortality, it is better to confront this bleak existential fact by going to the House of Mourning rather than to try to evade it through revelry.
Okay. But yeah, more of that, it's all in vain. Now, the thing is, I actually agree that most things you do, actually everything you do is ultimately meaningless because everyone will die and the universe will end. So it's ultimately meaningless. But, like Chris, you're talking about before, about, having a more optimistic twist, at least in our lives, our day-to-day lives, and, for however many generations will benefit from what we do. For them, it is meaningful.
Yeah, it's subjective. It's
Yeah.
important to them.
Yeah.
It's important to us. Think about it that way.
Yeah, and because they might as well go out and just write saying, well, what is it good to believe in God and to do all this stuff because blah blah blah. Right? Now, what a bunch of tripe.
I just think it's funny. It's funny how long this has been around. Like, think about it. This whole attitude has existed for this long. This is an ancient attitude.
The thing is probably longer.
It shows. It does show that stupidity can continue. So let's continue more with this tripe. Verse 3: sorrow is better than laughter. For a face is sad, a heart may be happy.
Wow.
Again, another dumb thing to say.
Well, actually,
This guy's just morbidly grim and sad.
you are more likely to have a longer lifespan if you cry more often. That's as close as I can get to justifying that verse.
It's okay to cry.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that as well. But anyway, the mind of the wise is in the house of mourning. The mind of the fool is in the house of pleasure. It is better to listen to the rebuke of a wise man than for one to listen to the song of fools.
So, he's considering himself here the wise man. And he is considering the song of fools to be all those things that are in vain, like wealth and stuff.
I beg to differ. I would put this as the song we're reading as a song of fools.
Yeah.
And those that believe it are lusting after foolishness, right? This is again. So the stupidity continues. For the crackling of thorn bushes under a pot, so is the laughter of the fool. This too is futility.
So the sound of thorns in altar, it says here that most translations since the King James read crackle, which is more vivid, but unfortunately is a translation through embellishment. The Hebrew kol means simply sound. The idea is that the laughter of fools is grating, like the noisy sound of a quick burning fire of thorns.
Yeah, but it is also vanity.
Yeah, the Hebrew also uses a pun. Serim, thorns, and seer, pot.
And I would update that unused thorn analogy to nails on a chalkboard or a fax machine.
Yeah, but it's in vain though.
A fax machine.
I hate that noise that they make when you pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's awful.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's dated already, see?
Fax machines? Yeah, they're pretty dated.
I didn't even experience that very often.
Yeah, well, luckily most of our audience is not Gen Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think everyone that watches us will completely understand the reference.
Excellent.
Yeah. For at least people who don't think that generations define your behavior, right? Mm-hmm. For opposition makes a wise man oppression. For oppression makes a wise man sad, and a bribe corrupts the heart. The end of a matter is better than the beginning. Patience of spirit is better than the haughtiness of spirit. Do not be eager in your heart to be angry, for anger resides in the bosom of fools.
I mean,
just blathering from one stupidity to another, right? That was the end of verse 9.
The thing is, I actually agree with be not quick in your spirit to become angry. Just chill out a bit.
Well,
I mean, there's like little bits of wisdom.
Yeah, but he turns around and says because it anger is foolish, right?
Yeah, it's not, but
I think if he said do not be eager in your heart to be angry, that's in of itself a statement, but his rationalization kind of cancels that thing. So verse 10, do not say, what is it that the former days were better than these? For is it not from wisdom that you ask about this?
Okay, so this is very what's this called? Like, how people always talk about the good old days, how things were better in the past.
Nostalgia?
Yeah,
it's part of it.
It's part of it. Yeah, but there's like an actual there's another word for it.
Conservatism?
I suppose
that
in
certainly
some
helps
senses,
as
yeah.
well.
Well, there's a note here. It says this verse 10 appears to record as SEO, S-E-O-W. Do you know? I don't know. I'm going to say SEO has suggested an exchange between Kohelet and his students. He would, of course, view this as a foolish and nostalgic question, Because in his philosophy, things were never better. The same cycle of futility has always occurred.
Oh, man,
Yeah.
that's great.
Wisdom, along with inheritance, is good, and the advantage to those who see the sun. Wisdom, along with an inheritance, is good, and an advantage to those who see the sun.
So yeah, the thing is, wisdom alone is meaningless, and inheritance alone is meaningless. But if you have both, maybe you'll be all right.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
And this says legacy in place of inheritance. So, I mean, functionally.
Okay.
Status is included with legacy, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. For wisdom is a protection just as money is a protection. But the advantage of knowledge is that wisdom preserves the lives of its possessors. Okay.
I mean, yeah, if you don't do anything
Maybe.
stupid.
Like survival wisdom. Don't
Yeah.
eat scorpions.
It certainly is less stupid than some of those stuff, the tripes, as this person's been saying. Consider the work of God, for it is able to straighten out. For who is able to straighten out what has bent?
Okay, so I think I'm getting this. So he is basically saying that everything's meaningless, right, on its own. And if you have wisdom plus the worship of God, then you could say that something is meaningful.
Right, because only God would be able to change something from a meaningless state to a meaningful state.
Yes.
Then again, I think most conscious animals that they have a cognition of meaning
Yeah.
tend to create meaning out of meaninglessness.
Well, sure.
In many instances.
An interpretation could be called meaning, yeah.
Yeah, but I think in the sense that they're talking about meaning, it's more of an objective kind of.
like a purposive
Yeah.
meaning.
Not the fun subjective stuff. Oh, no.
But people
Right.
do that still. I mean, even in
Yeah.
casual conversations, people misinterpret what people's intentions are, and they ascribe a purposive meaning to their words that
Them
doesn't
fighting
exist.
words.
Yeah. So verse 14 says in the last of this paragraph, in the days of prosperity be happy, but in the day of adversity consider. God has made the one as well as the other. So a man may not discover anything that will be after him.
Yeah, so once again to how unknowable the future is. But either way, it's all in God's hands.
Mm.
Very, deterministic.
No responsibility. No, this is kind of like goth Calvinism.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'd have to say your chapter is more like that than anything else, though. Some of the stuff he was saying before was, he was just saying how vain certain, pointlessly trying to get money and pointlessly trying to hoard wisdom, stuff like that. That sounded okay in chapter 1, 2, and 3. But now he's just going off on these tangents. Ugh.
Yeah. Remind me, who do they believe wrote this tripe?
Oh, so the teacher, as it is sometimes translated, and it's in meaning it could be almost the same as a teacher, but they use the word kohelet, and that could be like a teacher of like a congregation, or like to a crowd or something, some kind of a preacher, but
May have been male or female.
yeah, not really 100% on that one, although most commentators are still saying male.
Well, it's most likely given the cultural context.
Yeah. So this is someone who has obviously read a lot of wisdom literature, but has his own views on it.
Yeah, he's the guy who he partied through college, and what he remembers fondly is partying, and he doesn't remember the classes.
And he probably thinks that saying things sound deep makes them profound rather than just sniffing his own farts.
Mm-hmm.
So let's continue with this fart sniffing gentleman. verse 15. You can tell I like this. I have seen everything during my lifetime of futility. There is a righteous man who perishes in his righteousness.
So
and
the
there is
righteous
a wicked man who prolongs his life with wickedness.
So the righteous perishing is a declaration deliberately denying a fundamental assumption of Psalms, Proverbs, and other biblical books. I remember when we were going through these, we would regularly point out that righteous characters in the Bible.
Bad stuff happened to them all the time.
Things all the time. So
It's like not a divine protection. Sorry.
So finally, the wisdom literature authors are catching up to this fact, right?
Yeah.
And I think they're finally addressing it because, so many times in the other books, they tried to, they made an apologetic for it, right? Like they acknowledged it, but they didn't really talk about it too much. He's straight up talking about it.
Right.
A taboo subject for them.
Yeah. So let's see if Mike and Tim can get even deeper with this person. Verse 16, do not be excessively righteous and do not be overly wise. Why should you ruin yourself? Just think about that statement. I'm going to be reading it again just because it might have just been. Do not be excessively righteous. Do not be overly wise. Why should you ruin yourself?
From what? How? What?
Because of all the stress? I don't know.
What a load of crap, right? Okay.
It's like care a little bit, but not too much.
There's commentary here. It says any kind of excess, whether in righteousness or in evil, is a provocation of men and fate.
Okay, so we're doing this whole everything in moderation kind of thing, including your wisdom.
And righteousness?
Yeah.
You should get smarter. What the heck?
Actually, hold on. If we're talking about righteousness.
Look, be a nice guy, but don't be a really nice guy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really want to be a nice guy, TM.
Yeah.
No, maybe.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say maybe all the people that get posted on r/nice guys are the ones who have an excess of nice guy and they have ruined themselves.
Yeah. Anyway, so they're in my translation they have a reference of that 16 to Romans 12:3, where it says, "And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by renewing of your mind, that you may prove that the will of God is that which is good and acceptable and perfect." So I guess they're trying to say, yeah, but we got this New Testament verse that you should pay more attention to.
Yeah.
So verse 17, do not be excessively wicked and do not be a fool. Why should you die before your time?
Yeah, so they are kind of going for the whole everything in moderation thing.
Yeah. It is good that you grasp the one thing and also let go of the other. For the one who fears God comes forth with both of them.
Okay, so yeah, that was kind of, initially when we were reading through that, I was thinking this section was contradicting the stuff we got from the earlier part of chapter 7, but I guess he's kind of bringing it back here.
What verse was that? Was that 18? And
yes,
that was 18.
What was the latter half of that?
Okay, let me read it again. It is good that you grasp one thing and also not let go of the other. For the one who fears God comes forth with both of them.
All right, the translation was just worded a little differently.
How are they translating?
It's good that you seize this, and from the other as well, do not take back your hand, for he who fears God will get out of them all.
Yeah, that is different. But remember, there's no such thing as a perfect translation.
Right.
So.
It says down here, will get out of them all. The phrase is obscure. The attempt of many interpreters to align it with the rabbinic idiom that means to fulfill an obligation, yatsa yede, is unpersuasive because the component yede is absent here. Perhaps the meaning is that the God-fearer will manage to escape the dire consequences of being either too righteous or too foolish. So yeah, that's your
Too righteous in the Bible.
Huh.
Like the entire thing that they have.
Yeah, they're anti-white knight. Isn't that nice?
No, the whole thing that the biblical authors, for the most part, have been advocating for. He's like, don't be too righteous, because in the sense of righteousness, when it comes to, the faith, you would assume that you should be doing all of it, right? Because, okay, contrast this with Ben Sira, right? Because Ben Sira was talking about how people were so busy that they didn't have time to continuously worship God. Yeah. This is in direct opposition to that.
yeah. I can see it.
So we have a new paragraph of tripe here. Wisdom strengthens a wise man more than 10 rulers who are in a city. Indeed, there is not a righteous man on earth who continually does good and who never sins. Also, do not take seriously all the words that are spoken, lest you hear your servant cursing you. All right. For you who have realized you likewise have many times cursed others.
Don't be a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's probably a little bit better than some of the other stuff we've read. I have tasted all this with wisdom and said, I will be wise, but it is far from me. What has been is remote and exceedingly mysterious. Who can discover it? I directed my mind to know, to investigate, to seek wisdom with an explanation, to know the evil of folly and the foolishness of madness. And I discovered more better than death.
Wait.
The woman.
Oh, continue.
Okay, so let me finish this verse. And I've discovered more better than death, the woman whose heart is snares and nets, whose hands are chains. One who is pleasing to God will escape from her, but the sinner will be captured by her.
So the translation is roughly the same there. It just had and I find woman more bitter than death at the beginning. But
Wow.
he says here, this misogynistic declaration is notorious. But the language of the rest of the verse and the next one makes clear that the kind of woman Kohelet has in mind is the seductress or stranger woman, who often appears in wisdom literature, as memorably in Proverbs 5 and 7.
Evening.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's quite bad, but it's not as universally damning.
Yeah. It's like, I don't.
So,
oh, sorry, go on, Landon.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna be like, yeah, he doesn't hate all women, just the evil ones, which are apparently most of them.
Okay, so final chapter of this tripe, verse 27. Behold! We've had a number of beholds here.
Oh yeah.
That's probably the best thing for this. I have discovered this, says the preacher, adding one thing to another to find an explanation, which is I am seeking, but I have not found. I have found one man amongst 1,000, but have not found a woman amongst all these. Behold!
Yeah, so he has this idea.
In the chat room, by the way.
He has this idea that if there's only one honest man in 1,000, then there's no honest woman at all.
Yeah. Apparently.
That's
really
pretty
nice
rough.
And it finishes, says, I have found only this, that God made men upright, but they also have sought out many devices.
So it doesn't sound like he made them very upright.
What?
Maybe he made them a little crooked.
What a load of crap, right? the Bible should be embarrassed by that chapter.
That was pretty bad. So we went into like meaningless rambling, and then I hate women.
And if this is supposed to be the word of God, God damn.
Yeah. The word of God sounds strangely like an insult for him.
I will point out, this is because I am unforgivable. See?
Hell yeah.
This t-shirt.
Yes, I am unforgivable. Go on Teespring, get your I am unforgivable shirts. They are there.
They are there.
And they come in multiple colors.
Or become a $10 patron, and then every month you have a chance at getting an I am unforgivable shirt or any of the other shirts.
Yeah.
Of your choice.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, final chapter of the day.
Final chapter of the day.
Ecclesiastes.
Thank God. Thank God.
We're going to finish Ecclesiastes next time.
Yes, we are.
Okay. So,
This is pretty short.
yeah, it's only
12 chapters.
12 chapters, yeah. Chapter 8. Who is as the wise man? And who knoweth the interpretation of a thing?
A word's solution.
Oh, okay. A man's wisdom maketh his face to shine, and the boldness of his face shall be changed. I counsel thee to keep the king's commandment, because and that in regard of the oath of God. So keep the king's commandment and the oaths of God.
It says here, keep a king's utterance as though it concerned a vow to God.
Ah, that's much better.
Yeah, so this verse begins a series of purely pragmatic admonitions involving the dangers of lurking in the corridors of power. The literal meaning of king's utterance is king's mouth. The Hebrew here is prefaced by the word I, which has no plausible syntactic linkage with anything that follows or precedes it. Since the two final letters of the last word of the previous verse are Nun and Aleph, and the first two letters of Ani, I, are Aleph and Nun, this looks suspiciously like ditography, and hence the word is omitted from the translation.
Mm-hmm. Be not hasty to go out of his sight. Stand not in an evil thing, for he doeth whatsoever pleaseth him. Whoever translated this in the KJV, chapter 8, they keep saying of a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's Kohelet or if that's a translator.
That's a translator thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so before, when it said a thing in verse 1,
Mm-hmm.
a word's solution instead of the thing. Word davar could also mean thing, but then when we're talking about, and then it goes on to say pesher, which is the solution. But apparently, pesher, solution, occurs only here in the Bible, though it is common in later Hebrew.
All right.
Yeah, so that is interesting. And yes, Vlad. So ditography. So you know when you're writing something or when you're copying something down, and there are letters that are like exactly the same in two places, so you could like skip something or repeat something again. That's what ditography is. It's a textual mistake.
Yeah.
A specific kind of textual mistake.
Yep.
Like Ditto, the Pokemon.
Or
the actual word ditto.
Yeah. Where the word of a king is, there is power. And who may say unto him, what doest thou? I assume that's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Whoso keepeth the commandment shall feel no evil thing. And a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment.
Yeah, so if you don't speak out against the king, then that's probably an example of someone who is stronger than him, as we were talking about before in the other chapter. Yeah.
Because to every purpose there is time and judgment, therefore the misery of a man is great upon him. What?
Okay, so
That is not a syllogism.
Let's see here. For every happening has a time of judgment. There's going to be a consequence for every action. For man's evil is heavy upon him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's much better.
Mhm.
For he knoweth not that which shall be. For who can tell him when it shall be? There is no man that hath power over the spirit to retain the spirit.
Interesting. This one says wind.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, we have windmills and stuff now.
We have now obtained power over the wind.
Yeah.
Flying.
Yeah.
Neither hath he power in the day of death, and there is no discharge in that war. Neither shall wickedness deliver those that are given to it. So there's no discharge in that war. So you can't be discharged from the conditions of like
Of death.
dying eventually.
Yeah, you can't escape death.
Mhm. This is like a continuous thing throughout this book.
Yeah. Like it's coming for you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So all this have I seen, and applied my heart unto every work that is done under the sun. There is a time wherein one man ruleth over another to his own hurt. And
No,
so,
it's interesting that verse 9 says, "Applied my mind to every deed."
yeah, because the mind is located usually in like the gut.
Yeah, that's why I have the heart as a translation in the ESV.
Yeah, I have the heart, but usually they make some distinctions. It goes back and forth, really.
Yeah.
I guess maybe ancient people thought that people's minds just like
No,
traveled
the
around.
mind was
It
in the
was
heart.
centrally located in the heart, or it was only located in the heart.
Well, I think it depends on what time period we're talking about and
Mhm.
what culture. But like I know in Egypt, for example, they thought it was in the heart.
Mhm.
And definitely we've seen so many references,
To the heart,
yeah, as being, the mind.
right? They also use the mind on its own sometimes in some translations and just skip the heart metaphor.
Yeah.
But in other points in those same translations, they'll use the heart metaphor.
Hooray!
Great. Great. Oh, where was I? I was at verse 10.
I think so.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Verse 10.
so I saw the wicked buried, who had come and gone from the place of the holy, and they were forgotten in the city where they had so done.
So there's
This is also vanity.
there's a good amount of stuff on this one. So I have seen the wicked brought to the grave. The received text reads enigmatically, I have seen the wicked buried, and they came. This translation follows the Septuagint, which appears to have had a Hebrew text that read kevarim muvaim, a difference of two consonants in the second word. But I'm still unclear on like if this is a specific reference to something.
Yeah, my translation ends with "this too is futility."
Oh, okay. So on the holy place, apparently. And so I have seen the wicked brought to the grave, and from a holy place they went forth, while those who did right were forgotten in the town. So the holy place here, at this late moment in the biblical era, the reference is probably to a synagogue where the funeral was held. Yeah.
Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil.
Okay, so because the consequence doesn't happen fast enough, everyone thinks it's okay.
Yeah.
Though a sinner do evil 100 times, and his days be prolonged, yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear God, which fear before him. But it shall not be well with the wicked, neither shall he prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he feareth not before God. There is a vanity which is done upon the earth, that there be just men unto whom it happened happeneth according to the work of the wicked. Again, there be wicked men to whom it happeneth according to the work of the righteous. I said that this also is vanity. Then I commended mirth, because a man hath no better thing under the sun than to eat and drink and be merry. For that shall abide with him of his labor the days of his life, which God giveth him under the sun. When I applied mine heart to know wisdom, and to see the business that is done upon the earth, for also there is that neither day nor night seeth sleep with his eyes.
So my translation's a little bit different here. So most of it's exactly the same until the last part. Day and night my eyes saw no sleep. The Hebrew says incongruously, his eyes saw no sleep. Literally, with his eyes, he saw no sleep. This translation follows the proposal of several interpreters to amend the suffix of the Hebrew words for eyes and for know from the third person to the first person. The idea of sleepless pursuit of wisdom is surely appropriate to Kohelet's repeated affirmation of his dedication to philosophical investigation.
Philosophical investigation. Well, look,
it is.
There might be some. There's a couple of arguments in Kohelet, but it's not like a book of arguments. It's also contains a lot of just like statements.
Yeah, and most of them are about existentialism. Well, not even about existentialism. They're all
existential.
Yeah, they're all
so like. There's a moral argument against women in general that pops up throughout the book, and that's
weird.
Like, so I mean, it's vaguely philosophical, but it's not like
you won't see this in some textbook on logic.
You could just say it's thought provoking. That's the way of putting it.
Sure, thought provoking's fine.
Yeah. Well, last verse here. Then I beheld.
Beheld. He's drinking water. Damn, Ruben.
All the work of God that a man cannot find out because. Wait now. Then I beheld all the work of God that a man cannot find out, the work that is done under the sun. Okay.
Yeah, and I have seen every deed of God that man cannot grasp the deed. Oh, and that man cannot grasp the deed, which is done under the sun.
Because though a man labor to seek it out, yet he shall not find it. Yea, further, though a wise man think to know it, he shall not be able to find it.
Yeah, so there's this this wisdom, this ultimate wisdom, I guess, and of the future actually. There's this kind of deterministic world.
Because if the world is deterministic, you should be able to predict things accurately.
Yeah.
Yes, but because it's in the hands of God, there's no way anyone would be ever be able to predict it.
Are they saying that things like quantum mechanical uncertainty is divine? I don't know.
Well, if you explain some aspects of quantum mechanics to some people,
it'll sound
it'll sound religious, and I think that is actually pretty common in like the New Age.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah. I hate that.
Well, use whatever you'd like to justify your thing. Go ahead.
I mean, they should be embarrassed by that stuff. Anyway. Yes, I find it amusing in a way that a plane wreck is tension getting, not necessarily in life.
It's a little more entertaining in Ecclesiastes than in Proverbs.
Oh yeah,
I'd rather have these pretentious goth guy speeches from all these parties he went to and stuff, and
then a holier than thou good guy.
Yeah,
I don't know,
I'd rather have this guy.
People are posers.
Yeah,
he's super skeptical, and then he doesn't offer anything other than that, he's skeptical. That's
yeah,
about it.
I would
And-
rather have. I'd rather listen to a Holden Caulfield than that's a reference to
The Catcher in the
yeah,
Rye.
yeah. I'd rather have that than another Proverbs thing
Oh
or
my
another
God,
Ben Sira.
This is so much better than Proverbs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that's the end of the reading for today. And you know what? Chris, do you mind switching the camera just to Ruben for just a second? I want to point something out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
See God back there? He's hugging you, Ruben. He's trying to give you a hug. He loves you so much.
stranger danger.
Yeah, you don't know God.
You know, if we go to the main screen, it's like he's trying to put his arms around both of you guys.
Yes, yes.
He's trying to pat you on the back.
He is. He's patting us on the back. Thanks, God.
Oh,
You know, you're a
isn't
great
that
guy.
nice?
Sometimes.
Well, if you
This
enjoyed
picture.
our stream today, keep in mind that we have a donation drive. Once we hit 666, we're doing Scientology stuff.
Yeah.
We also have a Patreon for $1 a month. You can get all our video scripts for $5 a month. I think the next one was.
Yeah, you get all the books that we do,
Yeah.
that we publish. Let's see, $10 a month you get entered to the T-shirt giveaway. Let's see,
Yes.
$20 a month you do the patron hangouts with us, and then some other stuff.
And for $50 a month, you can be on this show like Landon.
Yeah,
Yes, and you can also and hang out with these cool folks.
and it is quite a good time.
Isn't there also a $10,000?
Of course.
We're waiting
Never bring
until the
that. We never bring
pandemic's
that up.
over.
Yeah. We can't even bring
If-
that one up.
If someone tries to cash in, nah.
Okay.
Let's see what else we got going on. We also have a wish list. Link is in the description. On the Amazon wish list, you will see a whole bunch of books. If you want to help us make content for you, if you would like us to have a whole bunch of knowledge that we can then put in understandable terms and
Good job.
shove it in your face, then you may consider getting a book off of the Amazon wish list. You can contribute to your own entertainment and your own knowledge. You could add books to this table of books that we have over here. You could really do whatever, but it's all books over there on the wish list.
I do highly recommend considering this because it will rebound back on the giver many timefold.
Yes, definitely.
Indubitably. And with that,
We got some other stuff too.
we do?
Yeah.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
Facebook and Twitter,
Facebook and
which
Twitter.
are always free to follow
It's
us
free
on.
to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. All links to everything is in the description.
Well, you know what?
It's also free to subscribe to their YouTube channel too.
Yes,
to
absolutely,
link
and it's free to share as well, and drop a like because that actually helps us, or dislike. We don't actually care as long as you engage. Let's see. Oh, and then if you just want a shirt, just go on Teespring.
Yeah. Wacky and fun.
Wacky and fun.
Ooh.
Yep.
And Landon, I don't know. Do you have anything to shill? A book or something?
Well, I would like to shill the comment Neowise, which if you go out around 3:30, that's 3:30 a.m. local time to get your eyes dark adapted, and you look about 30 degrees compassing is the northeast, kind of below and a little bit to the left of Capella. You'll find a nice comet that you can search with binoculars. And once you come across binoculars, you see the comet, the tail, and then you look up and there it is. The best time to see it is between about 4 a.m. local time and 5 a.m. So that's why you want to go out at 3:30 a.m. to get ready to have a place for a nice, flat horizon. And there are star charts online like the Sky and Telescope and whatnot.
Oh, cool.
So it's worth checking out. It's a nice comet, and give it a look.
Speaking of comments, I was on a walk like a few nights ago. It was there was the dry lightning. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah, it was really awesome. I got some cool pictures of the dry lightning, and while on that walk, it was actually a different walk. Yeah, I was on a different walk, but also this week I saw some Yeah, I saw some shooting stars, multiple. It was nice.
Wow.
Ooh, some re-entries.
Yeah.
Every time.
I love those re-entries. Or just entries.
Well, that's wonderful.
Or maybe first entry, depending on where it came from.
Yeah,
Sure.
Well, that's
wonderful.
wonderful.
That's the show for today, guys.
That's the show for the day.
Yeah.
Talking about going on walks and stuff
Yeah.
right at the end here.
Yep.
So no more Bible content for right now.
Nope. And until next time,
Until
until we get a new thing. Sorry, Chris, this thing sucks. We will see you on Friday, but also Sunday. We will see you
Sunday
then.
as well.